looking for best things to do in Oman, then you have landed on the right video, as in this video I will show you the top 15 things to do. Make sure to subscribe to my channel as it makes a huge difference to me and really helps me out a lot. Number 1 is swimming with whale sharks in Muscat, number 2 is swimming with turtles, and number 3 is Daymaniat Island. However, you can actually do these 3 different activities on the same day. All of these 3 activities are a must do, especially if you're in Muscat, Oman, but you can do them all together on a day trip, so it saves you having to book them separately. This is a QR code which you can use to book this exact same activity as the one that I've booked, and I'm going to talk you through how you can do these 3 different activities on the day trip and what it includes. So number 1, as I said, is swimming with the whale shark. Your trip starts in Muscat, where you hop onto a boat and you actually go out to find whale sharks. On this particular day, it was expected that no whale sharks would be seen. However, we still got to see 3 different whale sharks and swim with them. You can even see the whale sharks from your boat, so you don't actually have to get out if you're not a confident swimmer. You can actually see it from your boat. However, this is actually us swimming with the whale sharks in the sea. It was absolutely amazing. All the whale sharks were so friendly. I just could not have enough of them. So if you want to book this trip, as I said before, make sure to use the QR code that I'm putting on the screen or use the link down below. After swimming with the whale sharks, you get back onto the boat, and then your captain will take you to Daymaniat Islands. These are beautiful islands where you'll find turquoise water, white sand, and plenty of marine life to discover. And if you are visiting in the off season, which is basically not the hot season, then you will also get an opportunity to go on the island and relax, or equally you can also just get off the boat and snorkel right from the boat. This is shallow water. So the water where you saw the whale sharks was deep water, but this is shallow water, and even people who are not confident swimmers actually ended up getting off here and did lots of snorkeling and had fun with looking at the marine life. And if the tropical fish in a rainbow of different colors was not enough for you, then you will be delighted to know that you can actually swim with sea turtles here, and you will always find sea turtles. So there will never be a trip where you will leave disappointed, because you will always find loads of sea turtles. At one place, one person actually saw 19 sea turtles at a time. I swam with 2 sea turtles constantly, and also you can see so many more sea turtles when you're here. Our captain actually told us that there has never been a trip in his time of working at Daymaniat Island where customers have been disappointed and not seen these beautiful sea turtles and swum with them. After all that swimming and snorkeling and also looking at amazing marine life, you will be given some sandwiches which are included in your trip if you book the one that I have been sharing with the QR code and the link down below. Now, if you do book this trip, then do bear in mind this is a half a day tour. So although I've been saying day trip, it's actually half a day. You either choose the morning or the afternoon. We highly recommend it. The customer service was amazing. We loved every part of this trip and would love to do it again. You also get dropped off back on the jetty where you get on. So if you want to book this trip, as I said before, do use this QR code and do use the link down below. It saves you having to book 3 different trips with 3 different attractions, and you can do it all together in one trip. Moving on, number 4 is the famous Wahiba Sands Desert, and the 5th attraction is Wadi Bani Khalid. Both these attractions are very famous and I highly recommend you visit them. And again, I will show you how you can visit both the attractions in one day trip using the link and the QR code I'm showing you now. So as we booked the private day trip to Wahiba Sands and the Wadi Bani Khalid, we were picked up by a lovely driver from our hotel, which was very convenient. Our hotel packed us some breakfast so we could have it on the way, especially as it takes a couple of hours to get to Wahiba Sands Desert. Now it was a very hot day, but our driver kept us nice and cooled in the car with the aircon on, which was very helpful and very relaxing. We had a little nap and we made it to Wahiba Sands Desert, perfect for the afternoon. And we were greeted by these lovely desert goats as soon as we entered, which was really nice. And we actually stopped here. Our driver let us get off, take some pictures and just spend some time with these lovely goats. That we actually made it to the Bedouin Al Wahiba tribes camp. Now this is one of the camps where the Bedouins people live in Wahiba Sands Desert, and this was an opportunity for us to sit down with the Bedouin family where we can have coffee with them, look at the art they do, the embroidery they do, and just get familiar with their way of living. Now you can see this is absolutely empty today because it was nearly 40 degrees, so it was a very hot day. And that's why it was so empty. We were the only ones there, and for privacy we're not sharing the pictures or videos of the Bedouin people, but it was a great experience. So this area, or the Wahiba Sands Desert, is actually known for its amber coloured sand and towering sand dunes, some standing up to 330 feet. And of course, the 4x4 experience is highly recommended in this environment. Just look at the dunes over here, and we highly recommend for you to add this to your itinerary because you cannot leave Oman without visiting the Wahiba Sands Desert. Spending a couple of hours at Wahiba Sands Desert, we made our way to Wadi Bani Khalid, or also known as Vilayat, and you can see the landscapes completely change, and that is what's unique about Oman and why it's a destination for so many different travelers. Wadi stands for valley, and then Wadi Bani Khalid is actually in the northern governorate of the eastern region of Oman, and it is about 126 miles away from Muscat. And the village of Bada is also a well-known stop for tourists in the valley, which is approximately 40 kilometers away from road. Now Wadi Bani Khalid comprises a long series of plantations, villages that lie very close to the Wadi floor, and all year round water flows here from a natural spring in the upper, which reaches to the Wadi, supporting the abundant vegetation here. And it is a beautiful spot for both the locals and tourists to get together, especially on a hot day, and just swim here and be refreshed. It's almost like a refreshing retreat on a very hot day. make sure to bring your swimming costume when you're coming here. It was a great way to cool off after spending the afternoon in the desert, and also be prepared for a 10-minute walk from the car park and to the car park, as you can't actually drive right next to the Wadi, so you do have to do a little bit of walking, but it was very easy. I can do it, so it was pretty easy. It was not really a hike. That was a good part, whereas some wadis here do require a hike. On the way back, we stopped at the services, and the food here is delicious and so cheap, so highly recommend you ask your driver to stop at the services if you would like. The food was yum and the price was very low. So you can use this link to book the full day trip, which would include the desert and the Wadi Bani Khalid, as well as a pickup and a drop off from your hotel in Muscat if you like these two attractions. Alternatively, you can book them separately as well. Number 6 is Jabal Akdhar, number 7 is Nizwa, and number 8 is Birkat Al Mos. As mentioned before, you can use this QR code to book this whole day trip, which would include all the 3 attractions, or you can book them separately. But now I'm going to go into detail as to what this day trip included. So first off, we had a pickup from our hotel. As I mentioned, most tours on Get Your Guide actually include a pickup, so do look. And if you book the one that we're sharing on the link or the QR code, it will include a pickup as well. We did another private tour, but you can do a shared tour as well. The difference is you'll be joined by other people, but we did a private tour, and our driver was very knowledgeable. He shared lots of informative points about Oman, about Muscat, and just shared a little bit about his culture, heritage, and that was a really nice car drive, and we made it to Nizwa. So Nizwa is the largest city in Oman and was the capital of Oman proper, and Nizwa is about 140 kilometers away, or 87 miles away from Muscat, which is now the Omani capital, and the population of Nizwa is around 83,544 people. Now Nizwa is one of the oldest cities in Oman, and it was once a center of trade, religion, education and art. Its also Grand Mosque was formerly a center for Islamic learning, and Nizwa actually acquired its importance because it has been an important meeting point at the base of the western Hajar mountain. Today, Nizwa is a diverse, prosperous place with numerous agricultural, historical and recreational aspects, and it is a center for date growing, and it is a marketplace for the area where they also hold a weekly market for goats, which is very famous, and our guide gave us all this information that I'm sharing with you, and even said to us that he's actually not going to take us to shops where we will be asked to buy things, but instead he's going to take us to places which are affordable, and it's up to us if you want to buy something or not. So it wasn't one of them experiences where you'll be taken into shops and guides get commissions. It wasn't anything like that, and we really appreciated that honesty, and we really appreciated having an honest and informative guide. If you're looking to buy dates, then this is the perfect place because you'll find so many different dates coffee, date cakes, date syrups here. We bought some dates from here as well, so highly recommend that you buy them from here because there is no better place in Oman to buy dates than Nizwa itself. You will find lots of places in the souk, and there's also a shop right before you go to the souk. Now, as I said before, Nizwa was the capital of Oman in the 6th and 7th century. With its deep connection to the root of Islam, Nizwa possesses a number of renowned mosques such as Sultan Qaboos Jama Friday Mosque and Salalah Mosque, which was built in the 2nd century. A handwritten letter from the Islamic prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in 630 asked the locals of the mountain town of Nizwa to convert, and the locals then sent a couple returned delegation to Medina and embraced Islam. A tutor was sent by Muhammad, peace be upon him, to teach the new Muslims of Nizwa the fundamentals of the religion, and the explorer Ibn Battuta visited in the 14th century, noting that Nizwa is a city at the foot of a mountain. Now, we explored the Nizwa Souk Center, and our guide took us around, showed us many different places, but most importantly gave us free time to explore on our own. Now, this is very important because often when you are with a guide, they tend to take you to stores or their friends' stores or stores where they'll make commission, so you buy loads of things. But this was not the case here, and we really appreciated that. We walked around close to the pottery place, which is very Instagrammable, and probably a reason why you know Nizwa. It was indeed beautiful, and I highly recommend you look at the clay making here and just admire the beauty of Nizwa. After exploring the souks, we made our way to Nizwa Fort, which was built in the 1650s, although the underlying structures of this goes back to the 12th century, and it was built by the Imam Sultan bin Saif al-Yarubi. Now, Oman's most visited national monument is Nizwa Fort. This fort was the administrative seat of the authority of the presiding imams and the walis in the times of peace and conflict, and the main bulk of the fort actually took about 12 years to complete and was built above an underground stream. Now, the fort is a powerful reminder of the town's significance through turbulent periods in Oman's long history, and it was a formidable stronghold against raiding forces that desired Nizwa's abundant natural wealth and its strategic location at the crossroads of vital routes. And even today, when you visit the fort, you will see local women sitting there doing embroidery and actually creating lovely fabrics, working on lovely fabrics. So you can still get to see that Nizwa or Nizwa Fort here, as well as Oman, really keeps hold of their culture and their heritage. And that was just really beautiful to see that the locals there were still sitting there, and actually the women were always known to do lots of arts and crafts, and they're still continuing to do that. Now, the layout of the fort's design reflects the Omani architectural ingenuity as well, in the Yarubi era that witnessed considerable advancements in military fortifications and the introduction of mortar-based warfare. And even when you go today to Nizwa Fort, you will be able to walk into the different rooms where you can see different pieces, whether it be kind of an Islamic room with Islamic books, a library, or just a seating place. So you can easily spend half a day here, and we spent our few hours here spending in the museum as well as the other grounds of Nizwa Fort. After spending our morning and early afternoon in Nizwa, we made our way to Jabal Akdhar Mountains. Now, Jabal Akdhar Mountains, also known as a Green Mountain, is a mountain range approximately 80 kilometers or 40 miles long and 32 kilometers wide. It rises to a height of over 3,000 meters or 9,902 feet. And as you go up here, you see the temperature comes down. Now, when we were in Nizwa, it was 40 degrees, and you could see there the temperature was about 30 degrees when we were midway, and when we reached to the top, it was 23 degrees. So there's a huge difference between Nizwa at the bottom and the mountains at the top. So it's a great way to spend your summer, especially if you're in Oman in summer. Make sure you come to Jabal Akdhar. It is very famous for its wadis, its river valleys, as well as terraced orchards where pomegranates, apricots and roses grow. in abundances due to its mild Mediterranean climate. The highest peak in Jabal Akdhar mountain is Jabal Shams, which has an elevation of over 3,000 meters, and it is also the highest peak in the Hajar range. Now, if you are in Jabal Akdhar, then you will also be visiting Birkat which is the next place that our guide took us. But in case you don't book through here, then I highly recommend you do visit Birkat as well. Birkat or Birkat is one of the most famous villages, which is in ruins of the Sultanate, with the sets of 2 ruins, a large banana farm and the scenic surroundings. The site is also home to the old Falaj irrigation system, listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Actually going to book these 3 different attractions with 3 different providers on 3 different days. So we were really happy that we actually found a perfect day trip which included everything, as well as the pickup, drop off and transportation. So we really enjoyed it, and this is a QR code if you would like to book the same one, and we'll put the link down below as well. As I said, you can book it separately, but we just found it easier to do all of this in a day trip, and also we were less stressed about transportation. Number 9 is the Empty Quarter Desert. This is a different desert to the Wahiba Sands Desert. And also number 10 is the frankincense trees, which is the Dakwa area. Now these 2 attractions you're more likely to do if you're visiting Salalah in Oman. So if you're visiting or staying over in Salalah in Oman, then I do recommend this day trip, which includes visiting Wadi Dakwa and the Wahiba Sands deserts all in one. Again, includes a pickup and drop off and is half a day trip. You can book using this QR code or the link down below. But if you are only staying in Muscat, then this is going to be really far for you. But if you are not minding to doing a road trip and coming down near Salalah, then I highly recommend visiting Wadi Dakwa, which is actually located in the land of frankincense, which is about 40 kilometers north of Salalah. And the frankincense trees in Wadi Dakwa are Boswellia secca trees, which grow in the Wadi's alluvial bed, and the trees are tapped in the dry season after the monsoon season to release their resin, which basically hardens into frankincense tears. And it is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it was listed in a list in 2000s. And the site actually includes the archaeological site of Sishar, which is a natural environment of a Korori, and the archaeological site of Al Balid as well, the frankincense of a part of Wadi Dakwa. after spending some time there, we made a stop and got some karak tea, which is very famous in Middle Eastern countries and in Oman, and we had a look at some black camels. Now I don't know about you, but actually before this I'd never seen black camels, but apparently they're very famous in Oman, especially around this area, so highly recommend you do stop over and see them. And then made our way to Wahiba Sands Desert, which is also called Rub al Khali. Now Rub al Khali, or empty quarter, is a desert covering most of the southern third of the Arabian Peninsula, including parts of Saudi Arabia, Oman, UAE and Yemen, and it is part of the larger Arabian Desert. And actually, if I had to choose between the empty quarter or Wahiba Desert, I actually really liked the empty quarter desert dunes. There was something different about them, and I don't know what it was, but my preference would actually be this one. It was also much quieter, and the sunset from here was just incredible. It might just be because we visited here during sunset time, and the Wahiba Desert we actually visited during lunchtime, but I don't know what it was. The dunes here were just incredible and one of my favorites compared to all the other dunes I've seen before. Sunset from the dunes, as I said before, was absolutely incredible and has to be one of my favorite sunsets in Oman. We love just sitting there having a walk on the dunes, and the best part was it was actually not very busy, and there wasn't much wind, which meant that we were actually able to stay out on the desert for a good period of time, while our driver or our guide actually just waited on the side, so he was very close by to us in case we did need any help, or in case we did need something, but also gave us the time and the flexibility just to enjoy. So if you want to book this half a day trip, then again use the QR code that I'm putting on the screen now, or using the link below. Number 11 is Mutra Souk. So now we're going back to Muscat, and in Muscat, when you are staying there, do make sure to visit Mutra Souk, which is a long-running old-fashioned bazaar, and if you have some haggling skills up your sleeves, then definitely do utilize them here. It is a great way to bargain, shop and just get immersed with the locals' way of shopping. Next up is the Sultan Qaboos Mosque, which is the largest mosque in Oman, and it is located in the capital city of Muscat. So I highly recommend that when you are in Muscat, you definitely make a visit to this mosque, especially as it's a free thing to do. Next up is this colourful Al Alam Palace, which is the ceremonial place of the Sultan of Oman. Now you can't go inside, but you can definitely walk outside and have a look at this palace. It is almost like the equivalent of the Buckingham Palace in London. And after this, what I do recommend is that you make your way to the old Muscat, where most of the locals actually live, and this is the old part of the city, which is quieter now, where the locals live. But actually the busiest part is the more newer part of Muscat, where you have the Mutra Souk that I showed you and Sultan Qaboos Mosque. Last but not least is the Royal Opera House, in Muscat, and this is close to the old part of Muscat and as well as the Al Alam Palace. So I highly recommend you make a visit here. You do have to buy a ticket, but you can also just go outside if you are going for looking at the architecture, but you can also buy a ticket to go inside and have a look at the beautiful Royal Opera House in Muscat. Now you can use this QR code if you do want to do all of these 3 activities and more and have a city tour of the whole of Muscat. Again, it saves you a lot of time having to organize everything, so I highly recommend it. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have any questions, do put them in the comments down below. I do try to respond as soon as I can, and do remember to subscribe to our channel. We are a small channel and every single subscriber makes a huge difference. Can't wait to see you in the next video. Take